Have you ever felt like everything is going against you? Not just the usual kind of tired, but soul tired, the kind of exhaustion that creeps into your bones. You pray, you wait, you try to trust, but instead of light, you're met with longer nights, more closed doors, and an echoing silence from heaven. If you're in that season right now, maybe it's not the end. Maybe it's a preparation. You see, when God is about to do something big in your life, He doesn't shout. He whispers. He doesn't rush. He waits until you're quiet enough to hear. And there are signs, subtle but unmistakable signs, that your spirit begins to sense before the blessing arrives. Not everyone will notice, but if you pay attention, you will. Maybe you're feeling alone because He's pulling you away from the noise to raise you higher. Maybe you're losing things because He's clearing space for what's coming. Maybe you're hurting because your heart is being softened to love deeper than ever before. Don't ignore these signs. They're not coincidences. They are heaven's whispers telling you, hold on, I'm coming, and what I'm bringing is bigger than what you've ever prayed for. Part 1. When every door suddenly closes. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's finally falling into place. Your job is stable. Your relationships are blossoming. Your plans stretch out ahead like a golden road in the sun. And then, one by one, the doors start closing. Fast, without warning, without explanation. You get turned down from the job you prayed for. The person you thought would stay forever leaves. The things you believed were secure begin to unravel. You try to fix it. You pray. You blame yourself. But listen closely. When God is about to bless you with something big, He often closes every door you've grown too comfortable behind. Not to punish you, but to protect you from what you can't see. Sometimes He must shut down every other option so that you are left with one direction only, His. I know, it hurts. You feel like you're falling, like you've lost your way. But in that confusion, God is rerouting you toward where you're meant to be, not just where you wanted to go. He's not taking things from you to make you suffer. He's taking them so He can replace them with something greater. Part 2. The long silence. When heaven doesn't answer, but your soul is in training. There's a season every believer knows well. The silence. You pray, but there's no answer. You knock, but no door opens. You look up to heaven, and all you hear is quiet. And that silence can make you wonder, God, are you even listening? Did I do something wrong? I've been faithful. I still believe. So why is there not even a whisper? But listen closely. In that very silence, God is teaching you something far more precious than a miracle. He's teaching you faith. Just like a great teacher stays silent during the test, God often goes quiet not because He's far, but because He's watching your faith grow in the absence of feeling. He doesn't speak, so you learn to walk by trust, not by sight. He doesn't reply, so you stop depending on outer reassurance and begin to hear His voice from deep within. You're not being abandoned. You're being trained. And behind that silence, a massive plan is being quietly built just for you. Always remember, when heaven is silent, the earth is shifting. Part 3. You're being pulled away from the crowd because God is preparing a path no one else can walk. Have you felt it? People who used to feel close suddenly feel distant. Friends you once laughed with no longer feel aligned. Conversations feel forced, and the places you once loved no longer feel like home. No one said anything wrong. There was no fight, just distance, quiet, disconnection. You try to make sense of it. You grieve the loss of connection. You begin to feel strangely alone, even when you're surrounded by people. But here's the truth. When God is preparing you for something big, He will often pull you away from the crowd. Why? Because a great calling cannot be carried inside the comfort zone. He needs you quieter, deeper, more focused. And that rarely happens when you're still tangled in everyone's opinions distractions, and expectations. God doesn't want you lonely. He just wants you alone with Him, so He can whisper things to you that can't be heard in the noise. It's not rejection. It's a divine invitation, a sacred call. Come away. I'm about to do something in you that's never been done before. Part 4. Your intuition becomes sharper because God is opening your spiritual eyes. You start sensing things that logic can't explain. Something in you whispers, "Don't go there." Or maybe, "Try again, just once more." No one told you. There's no clear evidence. Yet, there's a quiet nudge inside, like a whisper only your soul can hear. At first, you doubt yourself. You think, it's just a feeling. But over time, you begin to see it's not random at all. You're becoming sensitive to the Spirit. When God is preparing you for a new season, He begins to sharpen your discernment. Not so you'll know the entire future, but so you'll know when to pause and when to move forward. Your intuition sharpens. Things you used to overlook now scream as red flags. Words people say begin to reveal hidden motives. Relationships you once trusted find cracks underneath. It's not that you're becoming cynical. It's that your spiritual eyes are opening. And that is a profound sign. God is preparing you not just to receive the blessing, but to protect it once it comes. Part 5. Everything starts falling apart because God is tearing down the old to build the new. Sometimes, the clear sign that God is about to do something massive is chaos. Not peace, not ease, but days that feel messy, unpredictable, and completely out of your control. That job you counted on suddenly hits trouble. Your finances spiral. The relationship you trusted starts breaking apart. The things you thought were solid start shaking all at once. And you panic. You wonder, God, am I doing something wrong? I've been trying. I've stayed faithful. Why does it feel like my world is collapsing? But listen, sometimes in order to build something new, God has to tear down the old. Like a master builder preparing to raise a new home, He must first clear away the outdated foundation, things that can't support what's coming. The old isn't necessarily bad. It's just not big enough for the future He's about to place in your hands. He's removing habits, relationships, even comforts you've clung to make space for something new, timely, and exponentially better. And in that seeming destruction, heaven is laying the groundwork for something divine. Part 6. When you begin to see meaning in what once felt meaningless, it's a sign your soul is waking up. You once cried over something that broke you. But now, looking back, you thank God for removing it. You once didn't understand why He allowed you to feel lost, betrayed, or emptied. But then, piece by piece, the broken memories start to align. And suddenly, you see the bigger picture. You realize, if that person hadn't left, you wouldn't have learned how strong you are. If that door hadn't shut, you wouldn't have found a better one. If you hadn't walked through the dark, you never would have known where the light truly comes from. When God is about to give you something big, He doesn't just shift your life. He shifts your vision. He opens the eyes of your spirit so you don't just survive, but understand the divine purpose woven into everything that once felt pointless. And when you start seeing that purpose, that's not coincidence. That's the sign. You're about to step into what God has been preparing for you all along. Final part. You're being prepared because what God has for you is not small. If you're walking through a dark season right now, where everything feels chaotic, silent, lonely, and you no longer know which way to go, remember this. God doesn't work on your schedule. He works on purpose. And if it feels like things are being stripped away, it may be because He's equipping your soul with new armor. If you're being pulled from what's familiar, it may be because He's leading you to where you never imagined you'd go. If you're being placed in the dark, don't be afraid. Seeds are always planted in the soil before they rise toward the light. You're not lost. You're being led. And if you're seeing these signs, then maybe God is not just giving you something you prayed for. He's giving you something you were born to carry.